Why do we almost always see chicken eggs in supermarkets? Chickens aren't the only birds that lay eggs. Ducks, geese, quail, turkeys, and even ostriches produce eggs humans can eat. So, why did one small bird become the world's default egg? The answer begins thousands of years ago. And surprisingly, it has less to do with taste than with convenience. Wild chickens came from South and Southeast Asia. As humans domesticated them, chickens had a huge advantage. They were small, adaptable, and relatively easy to keep. You didn't need a giant pasture or enormous amounts of food. A few chickens could live around a settlement and provide both meat and eggs. But early chickens were nothing like modern laying hens. Their wild ancestors laid eggs mainly for reproduction, often in limited seasonal cycles. Humans noticed that some birds laid more eggs than others, so they kept and bred those birds. Generation after generation, this selective breeding changed the chicken. Eventually, humans created breeds that could produce far more eggs than their wild ancestors. Modern laying hens can produce hundreds of eggs a year. But here's where the story gets interesting. Chicken eggs didn't become dominant because they were the biggest or even necessarily the best eggs. They became dominant because chickens were incredibly practical. Consider an ostrich. Its egg is enormous and can weigh more than a kilogram, enough to feed several people. But raising ostriches requires far more space, and their size makes them impractical for most small farms. Now consider a quail. Its egg is delicious and nutritious, but it is tiny. You need several to replace one chicken egg. Ducks can be excellent layers too, and duck eggs are widely eaten in parts of Asia. But chickens are smaller, easier to handle, adaptable to many environments, and capable of living close to humans. Then another advantage appeared. Chickens could be moved and traded easily. As farming communities expanded, chickens traveled with people. Their eggs traveled with them too. Over time, chicken eggs became familiar in more and more cultures. But the biggest transformation came much later with industrial farming. Farmers learned how to breed chickens for extremely high egg production, provide balanced feed, control temperature and lighting, and house large numbers of birds efficiently. Suddenly, chicken eggs could be produced in enormous quantities, and food systems love consistency. A supermarket doesn't just need eggs, it needs millions of eggs that are similar in size, predictable in supply, easy to transport, and affordable. Chickens fit that system almost perfectly. But there's an important misconception here. Humans absolutely do eat other eggs. Duck eggs are popular in many countries. Quail eggs appear in restaurants and markets. Goose and turkey eggs are eaten in some regions. Ostrich eggs are also edible, although they are rare and difficult to produce compared with chicken eggs. So, the real question isn't why we only eat chicken eggs. It's why chicken eggs became the default. And that reveals something fascinating about human food. We don't always choose the food that is objectively superior. We choose foods that are easy to produce, easy to transport, affordable, familiar, and useful in many recipes. Chicken eggs checked almost every box. Their size also turned out to be convenient. One egg is large enough to be a useful portion, but small enough to cook quickly. You can fry it, boil it, scramble it, bake with it, or use it to change the texture of an entire dish. That convenience helped make eggs part of everyday food around the world. And once an ingredient becomes cheap and familiar, an entire system grows around it. Bakeries use eggs, restaurants use eggs, food factories use eggs. Families buy eggs because everyone expects them. More demand creates more production, which makes eggs even cheaper and more available. It's a feedback loop, but there is an even stranger part of the story. The chicken itself was transformed by humans so dramatically that the modern laying hen produces eggs at a rate that would be completely unnatural for its wild ancestor. We didn't simply find a bird that happened to lay useful eggs. We repeatedly selected the birds that gave us more of what we wanted. Over thousands of years, that changed the animal. So when you crack a chicken egg into a pan, you're looking at the result of domestication, selective breeding, farming, trade, industry, and human habit. The chicken egg didn't conquer the world because other eggs were bad. It won because the bird behind it was remarkably easy for humans to raise at scale. And perhaps that's the bigger lesson. The foods we consider completely normal are often the result of thousands of tiny choices made by people long before we were born. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to 5 Minutes Explained for more videos like this.